Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Julie Reyes, Chairperson of Community Board 8, and I'd like to introduce our Vice Chair, Sergio Valverde. Margaret Zella, our Secretary, is unavailable, as our Treasurer, Joy Campbell Privateer. Then we have our District Manager, Farah Kilgubin, our Community Coordinator, Art Mazu, and our Community Associate at the end, Jerry Renadono. I'd like to thank St. Stephen's Church for allowing us to come into the church and be a place of community. And just a few issues before we start the meeting. 8 members approved for this evening's meeting. The board members are Sylvia Alexander, Lee Chong, Barbara Kale, Georgia Santiago, Jill Towns, Karen Walker, and Martin Wolpoff. If they are in Zoom video, they must show their face. A board member marked absent, yet in attendance via Zoom, may be permitted to speak if called on, but does not have the privilege to vote should a vote take place. And just a reminder to the board members, during the course of the board meeting, kindly raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged by the chairperson, and then we can move on. For the guests on Zoom, please note that only members of the public who have signed up to speak at the gallery session may address the board during the first portion of the board meeting. This evening, on item number 2, the public gallery session, we do not have anyone signed up. So I'd just like to ask now if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak on any particular issue. Nothing personal, but no personal issues, just something relating to. Oh, let me just get a microphone for you so the people on Zoom can hear as well.
Hi, my name is Connie Harper Castle, and I live in the Marble Hill area in the Promenade Building. And I have been reaching out to my assembly people and council people regarding the sanitation issues on Broadway. Soon as you get off the bridge up until 225th Street, where it goes towards Target, I see the store owners every morning sweeping. But by noon, it is disgraceful. I don't know. I can't even know where it's coming from, whether it's coming from the MTA workers that are working 24/7, but it's disgraceful. And I haven't been able to get any kind of answer or resolve regarding that issue. And the other thing that I would like to bring up is that summer is coming, and in the Marble Hill section, all of the fire hydrants are on. So if we can put in a request early to get sprinklers on it, it would be great.
Okay, thank you. District Manager Farah Rubin will follow up. She mentions that some of the items are on her list. And did you sign the attendance sheet? Okay. Your name again? I'm sorry. Okay, we will follow up. We will follow up, and thank you. Okay. If all the guests in the audience, if they can please sign in, and then this way we'll put you on the mailing list and keep in contact with you. The board members, we reserve the front row seats. If the board members can please take a seat in the front row so that we can the audience can identify who the board members are. I appreciate it. And if you're a chairperson, we have you face in the audience, so that when you give your report, it's easier. Yes. Is there someone on that side of the mic? Yeah.
Hello. Hi. Good evening. My name is Rosie Kennedy Pimentel. I have a concern regarding the scaffolding. Not only the scaffold, I have a concern regarding the park. They pulled up the big park over here. They pulled up the field right before school is ending, right before the summer is starting. But how long is it gonna take before they finish the park? The park across the street. They pulled up the whole baseball field, softball field. How long is that gonna take? Because the kids are concerned about that.
Well, when I spoke to Parks, they said they do that job. That's the Marble Hill place.
Yes.
Yeah. They said it can take about 2 months, which is very quick. for them, to tell you the truth.
Very quick.
Yes,
I mean,
that's speedy.
yeah, consider it's speedy if it would have been at a different time. You
And
know,
it's- and then-
considering the kids are coming out of school and that's the only field that's in the neighborhood. And then along with all the scaffolding, they can't get the parks are limited.
I know you came in early. Did you sign in as well?
Yes, I did sign
Okay,
in.
so then we can follow up as well.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Yes.
Excuse me? No, I think Sarah answered it. Thank you, and they're gonna follow up, because one thing I should have mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, we must be out of here. The meeting has to end between 8:30, 8:45, the latest, because we have to break down everything and be out by 9. And this is an area that, the community board definitely wants to keep coming to, and if we abuse their, their, yeah, we're out of here, so we're gonna follow up that. Deb's our park chairperson, and we'll follow up with all the issues with everyone.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So I'm going to move on to,
You said we can stay.
I wish you would have said that earlier. We started at 6:30 so that we can be after.
I didn't hear a word. I think what Timmy said should stay.
Okay, so then we're going to go to the next item. We're on item number 3. We're going to hold off for a few minutes, where we're waiting for one of the, participants. And so we'll move on to the next item, report from the Bronx Borough President's Office. Is there anyone online from the Bronx Borough President's Office? Okay, so no one there yet. And the 50th precinct, I think they're not online either. Oh, wait, I see Russia. Okay, so we'll come back to the 50th precinct, so then we'll move on to roll call.
Okay, good evening. Sylvia Alexander. You present?
Yes, I'm present.
Thank you. Debbie Allen. Constance Barnes Watson. Bender. Carol Blake. Joy Campbell Prepter. Sebastian Chidoropoli. Lee Tron.
Present.
Dr. Wayne DeBeetham. Ingrid DeLeon. Margaret Della is absent. Althea Ebo. Nick Fazio. Miriam Filer. Stephen Fruit. Dr. Julia Gomez. Edward Green. Emily Houseman. Deborah Harris. Rashida Hilliard. Barbara Kell. Laura Levine Pinedo. Nicole Lewis. Did she say yes? No. Steve Matthews. Charles Morgler. Daniel Nunez. Angel Ortega. Richard Perez. Julie Reyes. Brittany Reynoso. Daniel Rowan. Oh, he's here. Okay. Georgia Santiago.
Present.
Hi, Georgia. Jessica. Laura Spalter. Cesar Tobar Acosta. Jill Towns. Deb Travis. Sergio Villaverde. Karen Walker.
Present.
And Martin Walpole. We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next item is item 7, approval of the regular board meeting minutes, April 14th. Any discussions, comments, or edits? So then, any objections to accept as is, or any abstentions? Okay, so approved. We'll move on to discussion of the May 6th Executive Committee meeting minutes. I know the minutes for the executive meeting you just received today, so if you didn't have time to really take a look at it, just get in touch with Farah and myself and give us any comments, and we'll bring it up to discussions at exec and get back to you at the next board meeting. Because we just had the meeting on Wednesday, and Margaret was good enough to have it done so quickly. But do let us know if you have any comments, and we'll come back to this. Okay, the next item is item number 9. We'll do the chairperson's report. I will see the executive committee minutes, and also that the district manager, Farah Lubin, the budget chair, Sebastian, and the budget vice chair, Margaret, and I met with elected officials regarding the board budgets, and we will continue to do so. And Farah and I also met with Congressman Torres, and we discussed several items within the board issues, and the congressman was very interested and looks forward to continuing collaborating with us. And he's also looking to host a breakfast meeting for several elected officials and community board members. The date, we'll get back to you with the date, but the targeted date so far, it seems like the last week in June. And he's looking to host a breakfast for us so that we can get together, discuss issues, and try to get a few of the elected officials as well. He did it in a different board, I think it was community board 12, or the date is June 29th at 10 a.m. Thank you, Farah. So June 29th at 10 a.m. and we'll send out an email to the board members to see if you're available, and we'll move on from there. At this time, I'd also like to make a motion to amend the agenda to allow resolutions from the Public Safety Committee meeting, Public Safety Committee, Traffic and Transportation, and the Land Use Committee. Oh, wait, one more, and LRE. We had a few resolutions come after all the meetings, and I just, rather than every committee standing up and saying, oh, can I amend the agenda to add this resolution? I'd rather just do it in one lump sum. So that when they give their reports, we can just move on. Okay. Sergio, I love a second. Any objections? Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Abstain? Okay, so moved. So when the committees give their report, they can go on with the resolutions. So now we will move on to item number 10, the treasurer's report.
Hi, good evening, everyone. If you look at our report, you can see personnel services, which is spending down on our salaries for staff. And then we have our other than personnel services, which is the budget the office has to buy everything. We have 2 items that we need to vote on. We have a proposed budget mod, which we have to take out the money that's in certain categories and put it all into a spending category, so that I'm just moving the money around so we can just spend the rest of what we have before the term ends in June. So if you look at that, you have a budget mod addendum A, and you could see that we're just, no money has changed. We still have our budget, but it's going into the general category so that we could spend it. We have left over $25,000 to spend, and half of that is, everything's waiting for the budget mod. We've spent most of it already, and we'll finish that off in the next few weeks. So that is the first part that we need to vote on. And then I'll continue with the other. Should we start with the vote on that? Are there any questions about the budget in the meantime, or the budget mod? Okay, so we can do the vote on that.
Are there any objections to the modification? Any abstentions? Any motion?
So,
Okay, so, thank you. And so we'll go back to the vote. Any abstentions, objections? Okay.
Great, thank you. And now we're gonna move on to our projected budget for next year. We worked closely to look at the last few years, what our budgets were the last few years, and we basically kept it the same. We have been spending our money to the dollar. These are the needs we need for our office. As we do more and more events, I would like to increase our event budget as well. And we have a lot of committees that want to upgrade their resource guides. So we're also going to do more for printing next year. So on addendum B, you can see our projected budget. And it's basically the same as the last few years. Does anyone have questions about that? Okay, great. So I will give it to Julie to do the vote.
Okay, motion? Second. Thank you. Okay, so any abstentions? Objections? Okay.
Okay, so I guess I'll move on to my district manager report. Good evening, everyone. I hope you had a great Mother's Day. I just want to mention, so I did a lot of things this month where May 1st, I attended the biennial identifying informational report citywide community board training. I held my district service cabinet meeting on May 5th, and my next one is June 2nd. We released our spring newsletter, so we hope you all got a chance to look at that and the many things that this board does. We had a lot of fun at the Songs on the Streets event on May 9th. And we want to thank Julie, Angel, Debbie, and Brittany for volunteering. It was a really nice and fun event. And Lauren, it was fun to celebrate with you, but not technically a volunteer that day. Our next event coming up is the North Riverdale Block Festival, Sunday, May 17th. We would love to have more volunteers from the board to come represent. It's right in front of the office. And it starts at noon. So if you can volunteer, please reach out. Let us know if you can make it. We also have the Riverdale Pride event, Sunday, June 7th at RNH, Riverdale Neighborhood House. Again, we are asking for volunteers for that day. We are partnering with Marble Hill for a shredding event on Saturday, May 30th. And we need 2 volunteers to assist Tony Edwards, the tenant rep, with helping people shred their paper. In August, we have NYPD National Night Out. It's usually the first Tuesday. And also there will be a Marble Hill Nights Your Family Fun Day. Also just want to highlight New York Philharmonic event is scheduled for June 9th. We do not schedule a meeting that night so that everyone can go and enjoy the event. I'll let Debbie talk about the DOT Bailey Avenue walkthrough that we did recently. And Julie mentioned the rest. So I will end it on a final note that I'm very sad, but also very happy for him, as our mayor has given his 2-week notice, my community coordinator. His last day will be Friday, May 22nd, and I'll be posting to hire a community coordinator right away and interviewing over the summer. I wish him only the best. He was a fabulous staffer, and he will be hard to replace, and he'll be missed. So thank you already. And I just want to say, please have patience for Jalen and I. We adjust to taking on his duties in the meantime. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Is it subject to a vote?
All right, you're going to be so Ms. Darty. I have no idea. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Farah and Artie. We will miss you. Thank you for everything you've done for all of us.
Here.
Okay, we are going to backtrack. Artie mentioned that the president's office is on. Oh, Georgia, raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, I'm gonna miss you, Artie, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Georgia.
You're welcome.
Okay. So we'll move on to the borough president's office. Alexis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Happy to be here on the call with you both, with everyone. Um, Artie, I'm sad that you're going, but I know that you won't be far and we'll be able to still be in contact with you, so I'm happy about that. I also wanted to just touch base on two schools that are opening up in the Bronx, the Bronx School of Hip Hop and the Bronx School of Arts and Exploration. The borough president has been intentional in supporting Bronx schools, investing over $90 million to ensure students have the tools that they need to succeed and become the leaders of tomorrow. So definitely looking forward to those schools opening, and the promise that they represent for Bronx families. Other than that, we're celebrating Bronx Week. So if you haven't already, please visit our website or visit ilovethebronx.com for a full list of events. And it'll also include like the folks that we're highlighting and the places that make the Bronx. I'll be here for the remainder of the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alexis. Any questions or comments for Alexis, borough president's office? Okay. So we're going to move on to committee reports and resolutions. Again, please be mindful when giving your report. We will start with housing. Rashida Hilliard.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Rashida Hilliard, and I'm the chair of housing. Our last meeting was April 23rd, I want to say, that Monday, but 27th, actually. Yeah, it was April 27th, and we had guest speakers from Fordham University. We had two college students who were co-founders of an organization called Civic Reset, and their whole goal is to find affordable housing in the Bronx and in New York. So that was really insightful. They'll probably be joining us again in the near future, as all of our guest speakers have said. We also focused on the budget, and pretty much that was it. Our next meeting actually is in June because our meeting date would be Memorial Day, and we don't want to take that away from anyone. So we'll let you know about any guest speakers or anything about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Rashida. I'm just going to come out of committee reports for a few minutes since we have the precinct on the line.
Hi, everyone. I have Sergeant Chris back here. He'll give up the report.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for having me. Sorry for the delay. I'm actually covering patrol right now, so I just came in off the street. But happy to be here. So overall, year to date in the 5-0 precinct, we're down 10%. And for the 28-day period overall for 7 major crimes, we're down overall 22%. For the 28-day period, for robberies, we're actually up 8 compared to 5 of last year. For felony assaults, we're even 20 and 20. For burglaries, we're down 5 or 55%. We have 4 for this 28-day period compared to 9 last year. And then grand larcenies, we've seen one of our deepest declines for the 28-day period and year to date. For the 28-day period, we have a total of 43 grand larcenies compared to 71 this time last year for the 28-day. And year to date, we're down overall over 20%, 169 to 216. With the methods and plans that the new CO, Captain Octrova, and the new XO, Captain Saburo, put in place, we are seeing steady declines in petty larceny, grand larcenies, and our retail thefts, which is the main factor of just keeping on top of our consistent recidivists in the precinct. Make sure we have tabs on them whenever they are out on the street and they're carrying active warrants or I-cards, we do make sure we pick them up and bring them into the precinct to get them off the streets. And that helps too, with the help of the community, that when you see them around and you're reporting your package thefts and retail thefts, it's really important because it generally is for the 50 precinct the same handful of people over and over. So the more times we can get these guys red-handed, the more warrants we get on, the more times we could keep them away and just keep it away from all of your good things.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Oh, I'm sorry. During the meeting,
Can't
we
hear.
can take comments from.
Can you?
I think I've muted it.
No, it's right there.
Let us know and we'll get back to you on that. Thank you. At the committee meetings, the public is allowed to speak and engage at the meetings. That's where you'll get the most participation. But whatever question you have, you can give it to us and we'll definitely get back to you. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board members? I'm sorry, Sergeant, did you mention anything about hate crimes? Have there been any hate crimes? Did we go? Are they still on? Okay, if you can unmute yourself, just answer if there have been any reported hate crimes recently. And while they're unmuting, I'd just like to let Health and Hospital know that they're next to give their report. Dr. Beetham, do you have a microphone? Okay, so you can give your report because they don't appear to be coming back on.
Good evening, everyone. Health and Hospitals last met on April 8th. While we did not have quorum, we did have a pretty spirited discussion regarding some of our significant concerns, specifically universal health, domestic violence, and harm reduction, and hopefully crafting resolutions in short order. We will have a representative from Health Hospitals Corporation, I believe Jacoby specifically, in terms of community outreach, while they're not in the jurisdiction, since they do want to reach out to the areas and surrounding. And we will be meeting in 23 hours and 52 minutes.
Thank you. No, we won't. Okay, the next committee is Environment and Sanitation, and then after that, Education, Libraries, and Cultural Affairs. So Daniel Rowan.
Thank you. Our last meeting was on Wednesday, April 15th. We had a nice presentation about green infrastructure proposals at Fort Independence Park that I very much hope all happen. And there will be, the PowerPoint will be attached to my minutes. Deb says, yeah, that'll happen. So this will happen. Let's do it. Let's think positively. Our next meeting is next week on the 20th, Wednesday. We're going to talk to DEP will be there. Maybe sanitation, but probably not. We're going to talk about things in Van Cortlandt Village and, you know, how they're going to charge us a little bit more for water next year.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, next is Sylvia Alexander for Education, Libraries, and Cultural Affairs.
Hi. We had our last meeting on April 28th. The minutes were distributed. I hope you read them. I referred you to them, and we are not having a meeting in May because our date was a holiday, which starts the night before. That would have been our meeting night, and there were no alternative dates available, so we're not having a meeting.
Thank you, Sylvia. Our next committee is budget. Sebastian asked that those who have not submitted their priorities to please do so by May 15th. The next is Aging Committee, barbecue.
Good, okay. We last met April 16th. We're working to wrap up the older adult resource guide. I'm not sure we'll have it done in time for the printing, but we're close. We're getting there. Little by little, inch by inch. We have been working with the Economic Development Committee to see if they would like to join us in our support of Save Noel Crescent's retail district. And we have a resolution here. They've been working to influence. So do you want me to read the resolution? How do you want to?
No, this resolution was sent in time, right? Everybody received it. Everyone has read it and they can go right to therefore.
Therefore, we would like to support the efforts of the Save Noel Crescent retail district in their efforts to influence landlords and secure businesses in those empty spaces.
Okay, does anyone have any questions in regards to the resolution? Any comments? Okay, so then we'll go for a vote. Is anyone abstaining? Opposed? Okay, approved. Thank you. And for the audience, when they're giving the reports on the committee meetings, you can attend in person or via Zoom. And you can contact the board office if you need any additional information. We're going to move on to Special Committee on Veteran Services. Sergio Verde.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I attended the Borough President's Veterans Brunch, which is part of Bronx Week. The Borough President still is still very interested in the veterans issues. So we had some discussions. We will be holding probably one meeting if we can get a date in June before our November event. I think October 30th, November 1st rather, is Memorial Grove, and that's the report. Unless there are any questions, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's our event in Van Cortlandt Park at Memorial Grove. It's usually very well attended and one of the most, I think one of the most meaningful events that are held in the borough veterans wise. So please make it every effort to attend. It's a daylight savings day always, and it's going to be Sunday, the 1st of November.
Thank you. Special Committee on Racial Equity. I would refer to the minutes on the committee and the reports. We'll move on to Special Committee on Hudson River Greenway. Is there anything to report? We have two microphones. One should stay on one side, the other. Does anyone have a mic? Who else has a microphone? No, there should be another one for this side. Okay.
All right, well, after all that, I don't have anything to report. But it's nice to have the mic. There are things going on, but there's nothing to report at the present time.
Okay, thank you, Bob. We'll move on to the Youth Committee.
Hello, everybody. The Youth Committee last met on April 20th, and we have two resolutions for the Comeback Kid Award. Both of the resolutions, as they are on paper, are identical because the names have been omitted since we have not voted for them. And I'll give a brief on both youth as to why they are eligible. In both situations, the comeback is one that is health related, one of them having like heart surgeries and heart failures, the other one having multiple organ failures while still being a young age, while still being in middle school. And both of them still, through those trials and tribulations with their health, have both demonstrated leadership either through the volunteer works that they do, through pantries, through local community-based organizations, or while on the field in the respective sports that they are playing, they have both demonstrated their leadership and their drive amidst the little organ failures that they have been having. And for those reasons, the committee has voted to nominate both of them, as they have shown as like they are coming back more resilient than they were. And if anyone has any further questions on either or,
Were the young people nominated by community centers? And if so, were they different centers?
one was nominated by a community center, the other one was nominated through a different not a community center, but a different organization of like the nurses associations and through the sports associations that they're affiliated with.
Any other questions? Okay, so then we'll take a vote. I'll put them both together unless anyone objects. Are there any objections to the committee's nominations for the Comeback Kid Award, which will be presented at our June meeting? Any objections? Abstentions? Pass. And thank you for the committee for doing the work on selecting the two Comeback Kids. Is there anything else with your report, Cesar?
Our next meeting will be on Monday 18th at the board office.
Thank you. And then at this time, I'm going to go back to the beginning of our agenda. I had skipped over item 3 for our presentation of the Betty Campbell Adams Most Valuable Merchants Award. We were waiting on Brandon Adams. Thank you for coming. And I'll bring up Cesar, who will be presenting for the Economic Development Committee. And if there's any Economic Development Committee members, if you could please step up as well.
I see a bunch of y'all coming.
Brandon Adams is the son of the Miss Betty Campbell Adams, who the award is named after, and also co-owner of the Lloyd's Carrot Cake. Okay, Cesar.
Yes, so the committee has, or this person has been nominated for their works in executing Bamba Fest, the first food festival. They have improved and increased cultural programming throughout the district as well through high quality entertainment, bringing neighbors together, activating the local nightlife, creating a sanctuary for the arts and the creative economy for local artists, musicians who might not always find stages in the Bronx given space and capacity, and for their civic responsibilities and supporting our community. So most businesses usually are supporting and participating in community life. Our winner today, Norman Martinez from Home BX Steakhouse, goes above and beyond to make sure that our communities are actually getting the supports and the cares that they deserve. So as the board and the Economic Development Committee, we would like to award you with this.
I just want to say thank you, the community board. It's an honor to receive this recognition, and thank you.
Well, we'd like to thank you for everything you do with the community. Your events bring the people together. I'd just like the council member to step closer so you can take a picture with him as well. There's Artie. Artie. Yeah. And thank you again, Brandon, for letting us continue. It's great that you can make it. Great.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the family and just, again, this award means so much being named after my mom. Just, you know, what she was able to establish in the community and knowing how much community meant to her, meant to our business. So, you know, congratulations. You know, I'm a big fan of home, great food. And, you know, you built such a community there yourself, but honestly, keep it going. And I'd also like to say we're celebrating 40 years on Broadway this year. So it's a big milestone for us as well. And we appreciate, you know, Community Board 8 and everyone else in the community as well. So thank you so much.
We'd also like to thank the people who nominate all the various nominees. They had a few selections to go through. And we're going to jump back into the committee reports. Who's next? Traffic and Transportation, Doug Travis. Used to I do that every meeting, and I look right back. So I don't want her to leave.
Freudian slip. Good evening, everyone. Our last meeting was on April 16th. Unfortunately, we didn't have a quorum, but it still was a robust meeting, and we still continue to engage with DOT and the issues with City Bike. We did have our meeting with City Bike on May the 8th. The meeting entailed Bailey Avenue, the issues on Bailey Avenue and 238th Street. We've come to some agreement that we're working closely with the businesses to work out possibly loading areas for the businesses to receive their needed equipment for their business. And we're also engaging the 50th precinct also in some of the dialogue with the traffic that's also impeding some of the issues. Our next meeting will be on May the 14th, which is this week. So please, you can join us via Zoom if there's any other questions or concerns. We are still working on our budget priorities. We're still receiving capital requests for resurfacing and whatnot within the district. And you have until midnight tonight to try to get that to us, because I'm still typing things as we speak. We do have one resolution. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the resolution is in support of Johnson Diner application for outdoor dining. They've been in our district for many years and there's been no issues. So we present you this resolution for Johnson Diner.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions or comments? Because this is one of the resolutions that is coming from the floor. Okay, so then we'll go on to the vote. Are there any abstentions? Opposed? Passes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So our next meeting is on the 14th, this Tuesday. We still have things within our districts, the school zone speed limits, which is also an issue in certain areas because it's not consistent on specifically which schools will be involved in this school zone issue. And we're also still working with people that are concerned about city bikes in our district also.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, I'm just going to backtrack for a minute to the youth committee. Cesar, did we name the recipients? I forgot about that.
No, we did not. So the two youth who have won it are Bruce Sanchez and what's the kid? And Amari Sweet.
I'm sorry?
And Amari. I'm gonna Arrow, sorry. I cannot pronounce it.
Okay, I'm asking Cesar this because when we did the resolutions, rather than name someone in the resolution, once it's voted in or out, then we'll name who the person is. So he just named the two kids who are getting the Comeback Kids Awards, and when we send out the minutes, the names will be listed in the resolutions. Because right now, if you look at the resolutions, their names are not listed. Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, so we just did traffic and transportation, public safety, Ed Green.
All right. So, good evening, everybody. As Chair Reyes mentioned earlier in the meeting, Public Safety Committee is going to bring a resolution from the floor. It was not passed at committee. This was an issue that was brought to my attention by one of our vice chairs, Angel Ortega. And when I saw it, I immediately felt it was necessary for our committee to get behind this. It is sponsored by our own Councilman Eric Dinowitz, who's here tonight, who is going to speak a little about his bill. The resolution, and I'm going to get back to some of this stuff, but I'd like the councilman to present this, and if there's anything left, I can touch base on it. But it's basically a resolution. I'll read it. Therefore, be it resolved, Bronx Community Board 8 hereby expresses its strong support for intro number 175B and urges the full city council to override the mayor's veto of intro number 175B. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be sent to the Speaker of the New York City Council, all relevant elected officials and community boards to convey our position. And before I hand it to Councilman Dinowitz, I'll just give you a brief background on what led up to this. The bill, on March 26th, the bill was passed by the New York City Council Committee to Combat Hate. So this came out of the Committee to Combat Hate on the 26th, and on the same day it was passed by the full New York City Council with a vote of 31-19. On April 24th, the bill was vetoed by our New York City Mayor Mandami, and who expressed concerns about the bill, which I also plan on addressing. But at this point, I think I'll hand it over to the councilman, because I'm sure he can articulate on this a lot with a lot more authority than I can at this point.
Okay, but just a reminder, we're limited on time.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Good evening, everyone. All right. Hello, board, and others. Hello. Thank you. I think I know like everyone here. I'm Councilman Eric Dinowitz, and I think you gave a good background on the bill about the veto. I want to explain a little bit what's going on in our city, that we've seen time and again people harassed, intimidated, prevented from going into their schools. Right? These are sometimes kids, young people we're talking about. Under the guise of protest, which is we have the right to protest peaceably, but we don't have the right to protest by harassing people, grabbing at them, blocking entrances. We see this both at our houses of worship and at our schools. So Speaker Menon and I have two bills, and they're identical, except for what they apply to. One applies to houses of worship, one applies to school, and they're identical. And what they simply say is this. They acknowledge, or doesn't say it out loud, but we know the NYPD currently has the authority to regulate, to place time, place, and manner restrictions on protests. And we see this all the time. We see those metal barricades outside protests to allow people safe access to schools, houses of worship, or anywhere. What we don't really have is clarity around those rules. What we don't have is transparency around those rules. And what does that mean? It means that protesters have no idea why they're being pushed back 5 feet or 500 feet. They have no idea what goes into those decisions. And kids trying to get to school have no idea why people are allowed to grab at them and shine flashlights in their face, why they feel the need to take their classes remotely and transfer schools. They don't know what the parameters are. They don't even know who to call in the case of these protests getting out of hand. And protesters who feel like there's police overreach do not know who to call when they feel there's police overreach. So here's what my bill does, and Speaker Menon's bill does the same for houses of worship. It says, one, the NYPD has to come up or has to really write down what the parameters are. What is the public plan that you are going to share with everyone so we know what happens in the instances not of protests, but of intimidation, interference, and physical obstruction. Public transparency. And there's a 45-day period for public input. So it's really not just about the police coming down saying what they want to do. It's about getting input from everyone to say what this plan should look like. And then they have a final plan. And in the plan has to include a point of contact so that whether you're a protester who feel like your rights are being infringed upon, or you're an administrator of an educational institution who want to know who to call, you know exactly who to call. And this is important, as you've seen over the past couple months, there have been protests, particularly out in Queens. We've had schools close early because they did not know what the parameters were. Kids having to leave school early and cancel after school classes because they did not know if they would have safe access from their school, out of their school. And that to me is unacceptable. As a former teacher, I think our students deserve safety and dignity in schools, just like we passed the law about safe access to houses of worship. The mayor vetoed my bill. The mayor the word he used was going to let the other bill, the bill about houses of worship, become law. And what was interesting about his veto message was he said a few things. He said the house of worship bill requires the NYPD to write down existing practices. And then he said the educational bill is meaningfully different. The reality is the bills are identical, except for what they apply to. Our students deserve transparency. Our New York City deserves transparency in how our police operate, and that only serves to benefit everyone. And so I thank the board for taking up this resolution in support of overriding what I think is a misguided veto of a bill that will only seek to increase transparency and accountability, and therefore increase the safety of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Stephen, then Bob? Where's the mic on
I
that?
have a mic.
Hello. Hi. Councilman Tillman, just very briefly, what are a few examples of protests in Queens or elsewhere in the last year or 2 years where students have been obstructed in any way from getting to school at any level? And I assume the education institutions applies from the youngest children to graduates.
So what the bill says is educational institutions, and that applies to where education takes place, like K-12 schools. One example is yesterday. Yesterday in Queens, there was billed as a protest at a synagogue, outside a synagogue. But a lot of the local schools released their kids early because they were fearful of what the protesters were going to harass and intimidate the students. As it turns out, that happened. As it turns out, people in the neighborhood were harassed. The people who were protesting an event at a synagogue marched around the neighborhood. There were no real guidance, no real clarity on what was permissible and what was not permissible. And what the guidelines were for marching down the streets and blocking streets. So just last night was the example. And what neighborhood was it? And one in October.
But just, I just have to stop you for a minute because the question was to you.
So the answer is last night in Queens. No, sorry, I'm sorry. Brooklyn. Last night was in Brooklyn, in southern Brooklyn, and then in October it was Queens, and it's preschool through. It's starting at preschool, and we have instances, and there are more instances of this throughout, but I think more than zero is too many. Once is too many.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, excuse me, Councilman, all of this is such common sense. I mean, first of all, it's illegal now to block the entrance to a school or church or any house worship.
Sure.
It's also illegal right now to harass people, physically intimidate them.
That's correct.
Why can't this be done by some deputy mayor picking up the phone, calling the police commissioner, and saying, we need some guidelines from you guys because this is going on, and why aren't you dealing with it?
Yeah. The police currently have what they called in the testimony at the hearing, like a patchwork of guidance that they use. So they go by the law. They don't necessarily make it up as they go along. What we are seeking is transparency. Because you are right, it's already illegal. So we're not suddenly saying we're making it illegal to harass people. It's already illegal. We're not telling the police start arresting people. What we're telling them is you have to be transparent. And that with that transparency comes assurance and also accountability. Because if the police aren't protecting people in the way that they're supposed to by their own guidelines, again, whether it's the protesters and the police take it too far, or it's people going in school and the protesters taking it too far, we will have with this bill a tool to hold NYPD accountable to make sure our students are safe and everyone has the right to their free speech.
But why can't that be done just by calling the commissioner and police commissioner in for a hearing at the city council to say exactly what you just said? This is going on. What's the standard you guys are using, and why is it inconsistent?
That's a good question. We pass laws, tons of transparency laws in the New York City Council. We've asked this during the hearing. We asked this exact question. And the answer we got was like, there's a patchwork. They couldn't give us in verbal form the guidance. We have passed laws before that seem like common sense. We've passed how many stops, it was a police, I know it was controversial here, fundamentally a police transparency bill. And then people asked at the time, like, why couldn't we just call up the commissioner and say, like, well, how many times do you stop X, Y, young boys, young black and brown boys, young white girls for level 1, 2, 3, 4 stops? The same thing could be asked there. And we see, look, we have to codify this into law to increase transparency. We are always looking to make government more transparent, and that is what 175B does. It does exactly that. I think Chuck has a question.
Zed? Somebody's in. Chuck, and then Zed.
Let me give you a little bit of institutional history. In 2012, I think it was, a demonstration was held in front of the site of the convention, the Republican National Convention, that was nominating the party. And the police at that point, some of them went too far, some of them didn't go far enough. And you wound up having a real mess that caught national attention. The point was, they had no guidelines that were specific. And sure as hell, the moment it was over, lawsuits broke out in the federal court charging that the city of New York and the police department acted without direct protocols on this kind of thing. If you don't have protocols, you have a way out. You must have them when you're dealing with law enforcement. You're absolutely right.
Thank you, Chuck.
So I believe that Mayor Mamdani, his concern that he stated was just that the words educational institution, which are in the bill, is just too broad.
why not making a modification to be clearer that you mean high schools, middle schools, private schools? Because I think the concern is that it would apply to museums or any place where education occurs, and that might be just a very broad mandate. So why not make an adjustment to the bill to make it so that it's a little more specific, like houses of worship, which is a very specific term that we understand?
So my question for the mayor would be, what is applying to educational institutions? Transparency. So this question of like, oh, it's too broad is what is it? It is a transparency measure. And the point about, the plan is there is a comments period. There's 45 days where people can input, and we can say, look, we really just do want it to focus on what we mean is pre-K to high school, right? Like what if there are field trips to museums? I mean, there are real questions that come up that should come up. These are real important questions that should come up when the public comment period is open 45 days. Not to mention, to be fair, the police department is under the jurisdiction of the mayor. So I would think the mayor has significant determination of what this plan would actually look like. But fundamentally, we are talking about transparency. And I believe in a transparent city government. I believe in a transparent, particularly NYPD. And so I just disagree with his concern about educational facilities being too broad. The concern is what the bill actually is, right? That is the question. And what the bill is a transparency and accountability measure for our NYPD to make sure everyone in our city is safe.
Can I ask one follow-up question? So just regarding this as a transparency measure, is there something in the bill that requires like public posting? I mean, obviously it's mandating that they make a plan, and then there'll be a review period for the plan. But generally, once they make these plans, they disappear into the ether and nobody ever sees them again. So is there anything in the bill that would require some public posting at these educational institutions so that protesters could understand what their rights are?
I believe it's going to be posted on the NYPD website. So very, very public. And that's in the bill. That's in the bill. I'll also send it out in my newsletter. You should all sign up for it.
Hi. So I guess I don't think we got an answer with the question, right? Where it's just like, would you be open to amending educational institution to just be, say, K through 12? And that's number one, just because my concern is that there is a lot of public opinion, and I feel like, especially in college campuses, I would be afraid that we'd be limiting their ability to, be able to express themselves and learn what it is to protest, because they're going to be the next generation to lead us. So could you clarify that?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say I agree. And I've been with students where we've walked out of schools at those protests, and great. I've not and would not have stood by students who started harassing people on their way into school. And I would hope that we would all be against that. I would hope that we would never teach our children that following people onto campus is acceptable, that calling them racial slurs is acceptable, that grabbing at them, grabbing their property. I would hope that none of us would condone that behavior and elevate that as proper free speech. But we do hear the concerns about what's going on college campuses. This bill does not apply to anything except public streets. It specifically says this bill is only for public streets. The NYPD, and it doesn't need to say that, by the way. The NYPD does not have jurisdiction over, let's say, a Columbia, where there were real questions about the encampments, the protests, NYPD coming in, all very complicated stuff. The NYPD was called in because they did not have jurisdiction to go in, and therefore they could not have jurisdiction to create a public plan to address instances of the entrances and exits of the buildings on the campus. Nevertheless, in the bill, it is specific. It is not for any private campus. It is not for any private property. It is not for campus. It is only for a plan as students are entering and exiting schools, and it does not prevent in any measure whatsoever protests. What it says, again, is what is the plan to address instances of intimidation, interference, and physical obstruction.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions? But what, as Jessica and Zeb asked, what you consider streamlining education facilities? Like.
Okay, so that question then comes up in the public. The question before us now is, do we believe that the NYPD should be transparent?
No, that's not my question.
No, I know your question. Okay.
If that's a yes or no, that's it. Like, I'm
trying to answer it. No, I'm trying to answer it because it's a procedural question at this point.
Mm-hmm.
There are no amendments.
Okay, then it's
in
a
the veto
no.
override. So the question before us now really is: do we believe
no.
that the NYPD should be transparent? Students
I'm
should
sorry.
be safe on the way to and out of school.
So, are there any other comments or questions? Okay, I just want to say that you have a comment. Okay.
My comment is, sadly, this bill is needed because we're living in times where New York City is experiencing a pattern of rising hate and violence. This bill is part of a 5-point legislative plan put forward by City Council Speaker Julie Menin to combat unprecedented acts of hate and to strengthen community safety. Her plan focuses on education, protecting access to schools and houses of worship, and resources to confront hate. This bill should not be controversial. It respects all laws governing the right to organize, protest, and assemble. It regulates NYPD practices, not public speech. It does not expand NYPD authority. It is content neutral and does not consider the subject or viewpoint of a protest. I would like to read a very brief statement by Speaker Menin on the mayor's veto. I'm less than 2 minutes.
No.
Ensuring students, I'm less than 2 minutes.
No, because I asked if you had a question or comment.
I have a comment.
You're going to read something, Laura. We understand your position. You're the vice chair of the Public Safety Committee. And
no, I have one last thing to say, Julie, and I'm going to say it. This board has a strong record of acknowledging and fighting the creeping
Laura
increase.
put up a motion to vote. I asked if you had a question or a comment for the council. He was nice enough to stand here and give us so much information. And I just, I was in the middle of saying something, and you said you had something to say because I thought you had a comment for him. You're making a comment. I'm just going to say this: that we have 3 council members here, and thank you, Councilmember Dinowitz, for presenting today, because there was discussion and it basically dealt with the educational facilities in the police department. We do have 3 council members, Councilmember De La Rosa and Councilmember Sanchez. The 2 of them voted against, and unfortunately, they're not here to even hear why they voted against. So I just need to put that on record because we have a community here. We have 3 council members. Thank you, Councilmember Dinowitz, for explaining your bill. And we know your position, Laura. You're the vice chair of public safety. I said at the beginning of this meeting, we're on a time constraint. If people didn't understand his bill by now, we got it. So let's move on. Laura has a motion on the floor to call for the vote. Is there a second? Second. Any objections?
That's the point of order. I think it's out of order that we not let.
Well, I was speaking and she interrupted me, so that's the point of order. And I was kind enough.
I raised my hand.
I started to say, play the video. I started to talk. Listen, it's like.
We're talking about free speech.
Right, and I was speaking, and as I was speaking, she said, "Oh, but I have something," and I paused my part of speaking because I thought she had a question or comment. So we're going to move on and vote. Are there any objections to this bill? To the resolution? Opposed? Any? Okay. So then.
We'll do the roll call. Sylvia Alexander. For or in favor, abstain, or oppose to the resolution?
I'm for.
Debbie Allen. Constance is absent. Bob Bender. Okay. Carol Blake. Joy is not here. Sebastian not here. Lee Chang. Is she still on? Dr. Wayne DeVito. Opposed. Okay. Stephen Fruit. Dr. Julia Gomez. Ed Green. Emily Hausman. Deborah Harris. Rashida Hilliard. Barbara Kale. Laura Levine Pinedo. Nicole's not here. Steve Matthews. Chuck Modler.
Favor.
Daniel Nunez. Okay. Angel Ortega.
Favor.
Richard Perez. Brittany Reynoso. Daniel Rowan. Georgia Santiago.
Favor.
Okay. Jessica Sosa. Laura Spalter. Cesar Tabar Costa. Jill Towns. Is she on? Jill, are you in favor, abstain, or opposed to the resolution? Is she unmuted? Okay, then I'll have to ask again. Doug Travis. Sergio Villaverde? Yes? Karen Walker?
Abstain.
Abstain. Marty Woko? And Julie Reyes? And I'm gonna come back to Jill Towns. Can you hear us? What's your vote? Yeah, Jill? Jill, can you give us your vote? It's not working. Maybe she could text someone. Okay, so. Yeah, can you? Well, so far we have 9 opposed, 6 abstain, and 14 in favor. So, hold on. What's her vote?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm not opposed.
You're in favor?
Yes. In favor. So that's 15 in favor, 6 abstain, and 9 opposed. So how does that? It's a tie, right? Thank you. Yeah. Do you have anything else to report?
Yeah.
We have, sorry, we have 5 other resolutions. I just wanted to say thank you for coming out and speaking on this bill. So, Public Safety Committee has 5 other resolutions. We have 2 SLAs, actually 3 SLAs and 2 Office of Cannabis Management. The first is a renewal application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider for Estrelita Poblana Tequila Express at 5975 Broadway. And we have Gaelic Athletic Association of Greater New York at 201 West 240th Street Both of these, one is a renewal, the other is a new application and temporary retail permit. They were passed unanimously by our committee. And we also had Metate at 3515 Johnson Avenue, which was also passed unanimously, which is a new application as well. I'd like to vote on those as a block, unless any.
Are there any objections from the board? Sure, Stephen? Sure. No, wait, one minute though, because Ed is finishing his resolutions. Let's just let him finish his resolution. You asked a question about one of the sites.
Okay, Metate, we had previously passed a resolution to approve their new liquor license in December. They're just applying for a temporary retail permit because they wanted to hit the ground running a little quicker. Things are slow the way they process things at SLA, so without having that the temporary retail permit allows them to operate before everything is processed. So that's really what it just was. Right. New owner, previous, right.
Okay.
So I'd like to take a vote on those three as a block.
Okay, any objections? Abstentions? Okay, go ahead, Ed. Anyone? Those who object? None? Abstentions? None passed.
Okay, are we gonna let Chuck say his thing?
No, you're gonna finish your report.
Okay, so Office of Cannabis Management, we had a license renewal. It was our first license renewal for Freshbox Cannabis at LLC at 3633 Kingsbridge Avenue. And no issues. Public Safety Committee voted unanimously to approve this application. 50th Precinct had no problems with them. So I'd like to take a vote on that separately.
Okay, anyone object to the resolution? Abstentions? Pass.
Okay, and the last resolution we have is Office of Cannabis Management, new establishment license for C&L Distributor LLC. That's at 436 West 238th Street.
Any objections?
I gotta tell what happened first.
Well, they read it, so go ahead.
So the committee voted to disapprove this application. And well, I guess Chair Reyes is right. If everybody read it, we can, unless anybody has any questions, we can vote on it.
Any questions, comments? Any objections to the resolution? One? Oh, question. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Question.
We had a kind of a split vote. It was 5-3. I actually voted in favor of this. And because it didn't, normally the reason I would vote against the cannabis place is because the community came out very heavily against it. Initially, they did not. We had people that showed up at the meeting that, about 7 people that showed up against it, but we didn't receive the type of anger, I guess, at the place coming from the community beforehand. We only got 2 letters of opposition and 1 letter of support for this place. The reasons the committee voted against it, because there's been a lot going on in that block. We just had a business that was closed down for all kinds of, causing all kinds of havoc on the block. There was a bust at a church for selling cannabis across the street. There's been well-documented problems on that block, so the committee felt that this was just not an appropriate place for this business at this time. It is West 238th Street, where Fenwick's was, right there.
Any other questions? Okay, so we'll take a vote. Any objections?
Disapproved a license. So when we have the question, yes, no, abstain, make sure things that people understand. A yes vote agrees with the committee to disapprove the cannabis license.
That's correct.
Thank you. Did everyone hear him?
No, we
Okay.
couldn't hear him.
If you vote yes, we're voting on the cannabis license on 436 West 238th Street. The committee opposed the application. So if you vote yes, that means you're saying that you agree with the committee and you do not want the cannabis at 436 West 238th Street. If you vote no, that means you want it there. And if you abstain, an abstention is like no, but you're abstaining. Okay, does everyone understand that? Marty's drilled it into our heads a million times, so let's vote. How many people agree with the committee that they do not want the cannabis place there? Who objects? Do not want the cannabis place.
In favor of disapproval.
Roll call. Okay, I know. Sorry.
Sylvia, are you in favor of disapproving or approving? You're muted. Hold on, Sylvia, you're still muted. I'm doing. well,
Are
we
we,
can do-
are we voting on the public safety thing?
For Sylvia, we're voting, the committee disapproved the application for cannabis. Do you vote to approve that or disapprove that?
I approve it.
Disapproval,
No, I'll approve it.
so you're in favor, okay. Debbie Allen. Okay, Bob Bender. In favor. Carol Blake. Okay, Joy's not here. Lee Chong. Not here. Dr. Wayne DeBefield.
In favor of the resolution.
Stephen Fruit. Dr. Julia Gomez. Edward Green.
No.
You're opposed. Okay.
Correct.
Emily Houseman. Okay. Deborah Harris. Opposed. Okay. Rashida Hilliard. Correct. Barbara Taylor. Okay. Laura Levine, is she still here? Okay. Steve Matthews. Chuck Modler. Daniel Nunez. Angel Ortega. Opposed? Okay.
Opposed but not licensed.
He's opposed. Richard Perez. Okay, disapproved. Vinny Reynoso. Approved. Daniel Rowan. Okay. Georgia Santiago.
Oppose.
Opposed. Jessica Sosa. Laura Spalter. Cesar. Jill Towns.
I go along with the committee. I don't know if that's approved or opposed or.
So you're approved. Deborah Travis? In favor? Thank you. Sergio Villaverde? In favor. Karen Walker?
Support the committee.
Okay, that's in favor. Martin Wilpov? In favor. And Julie Reyes? Opposed. Okay. So 20 in favor, 1 abstention, and 8 opposed. It passes. The resolution to disapprove passes. Anything else, Ed?
That'll be it unless Mr. Murder has anything to shine, light to shine on
I'm
our,
asking you, are you finished with your report?
I am.
Thank you. Okay, I will yield the floor to Chuck. Does anyone have a mic over here?
I have a point of order on the vote on the city council resolution. Can I have the vote as it was counted, please? Or is it- It's a tie. That's not a, that's a dead tie. You gotta do a revote. That's a tie. That's not a negative vote. That is my point of order.
Screen.
We voted in a tie. I'm asking you as senior member. Okay, I'm just gonna cut this short right now, because I'm chair for like a few more minutes, till 8:30. We are not revoting. Let's just get that straight right now. Noted, okay? So now with that, we're gonna move on to the committee reports. Okay, who's next?
Parks Committee.
Parks? Deb Travis.
All right, good evening, everybody. I think I have a couple of far less controversial resolutions for you this evening. Both of them are SAPOs, and I think we can honestly do them together in the interest of time. One is a resolution in support of the street activity permit for the James Baldwin Outdoor Learning Center Garden Community Farmers Market. They've done this every year since 2020. It's a well-loved event, and they're in the exact same spot. The spot that they have this farmers market is actually now called the James Baldwin Plaza because of their efforts. And then the other SAPO is a request for the New York Philharmonic to have parking along the east side of Broadway in order for their musicians who live locally to be able to drive to the concert and to support some ADA parking access. It's essentially the same parking that they request every year, and they've just started actually going through the full process the last couple of years, and we want to support them in continuing to do that. So I'd like to, both of these resolutions were supported unanimously by the committee. I'd like to call the vote.
Thank you, Deb. Okay, so we'll lump them together. Does anyone have an objection for any of the Parks resolutions in the packet? Does anyone have any questions first? Questions, comments? Okay, so then we'll go to the vote. Are there any abstentions on the vote? Any objections? Angel objects to which one? You want? Oh, you're abstaining. Okay, are there any objections? One abstention. Angel abstains. Everyone else, one. Yes, on the part, on both of them.
Okay, and our last meeting was April 22nd. We also discussed at that meeting was where the Parks Department revealed that they were going to be tearing down the stadium in Van Cortlandt Park because it is in a state of severe deterioration. And so a lot of attention, thankfully, from the racquetball and handball community who came out, and then the meeting was a good working session, really just to provide some feedback to the Parks Department about what the handball and racquetball, paddleball community members really what they need in order to continue. The Parks Department is working with them to try to allow for continuous play, but they're going to be inspecting the stadium soon. It gets an annual inspection now at this point because of the deterioration of the concrete, the rebar that holds the concrete together, and there's already netting on the top of the stadium to prevent any concrete from falling on the handball and racquetball players who use the wall to play. So there was a good discussion about where the handball courts should either temporarily or permanently be placed, and the Parks Department took that feedback back, and they're going to make a plan of some sort to try to something in place before they have to take the stadium down. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them or answer them after the meeting regarding the stadium. But it's really a sign of what happens if you don't give proper maintenance funding to the Parks Department. And I would be, remiss if I didn't say that out loud, because, when we were in exec last week, we happened to be looking at minutes of our own committee, of our own board from 2006, where we were asking for funding for maintenance for the stadium then. And I have to say that if we'd had proper maintenance, a proper parks budget in 2006, 2010, under Bloomberg administration, under de Blasio administration, under Adams, or any of them, we wouldn't be in the situation now where we're losing these kind of historical buildings because of lack of care. And so, there are the steps, for example, in the Van Cortlandt House are in similar situation of being in a very poor state of repair. They also could be in this same position in a few years. So I think it's really important to talk about maintenance funding for parks, and so that these things are taken care of as we go. So I just had to say that. Debbie.
Just in general, not just parks, but the roads. The George Washington Bridge, there was remnants of something falling down the bridge. There are not just parks, but DOT, this infrastructure here in New York City in certain areas is absolutely deplorable.
Although I do want to add that the DOT does not have volunteers currently tarring and patching potholes, whereas the Parks Department does have volunteers picking up litter and doing all of the gardening. So.
And I think what you're referring to, it was 95 where it fell, so south, not, well, I guess, yeah, yeah, exactly where we all go. Equally, I would like to make a motion to reconsider the bill from earlier. If I can get a second.
Second. No, you guys have nothing better to do. We voted, there was a tie.
In a tie, the chair is allowed to change their vote if it would change the outcome, which you were free to do, or it can be reconsidered from a motion on the floor. It says that in Robert's rules.
It doesn't say in our bylaws. Okay, we're gonna move on. A tie, take it.
So the next meeting is on March 28th, but we currently don't have any agenda items. I'm sorry, May 28th. And we don't have any agenda items, so we may cancel unless something comes up last minute, but that is when we're scheduled to meet.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for the Parks and Recreation Committee? Okay, thank you, Deb. Who? Oh, I didn't see. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see any board. Our bylaws don't say that we have to have 51%. Okay, but you said the chair has, I'm not doing this. We have a tie, we took a vote, and that's it. We're moving on. It's 8:20, we're moving on.
Chair, I move
Okay, let's deal with this at the end of the meeting, okay? Because then I will leave you guys and you guys could deal with it yourself. Because as far as I'm concerned, this board voted like we always do, and it's a tie. When someone wins, we don't say, oh, let's do it again. It's a tie. Okay, I'm moving on. More rules and ethics. Who has the mic on this side?
Takes priority under Robert's rules.
Can you give it to Marty, please? We're going to more rules and ethics.
On this note, I tend to agree with the chair almost all the time. But when life and death is involved, I think we're playing games if we're hiding behind what isn't written in the bylaws.
Okay, so now let's do Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee report.
Are you speaking to the mic?
We had a meeting last night, and the first item I want to raise under the resolution passed by the LRE is a resolution submitted by our chair. The committee fully supports it, so we voted for it unanimously, but I'll ask Julie to introduce it.
The resolution that I submitted is very similar to the resolution that was sent to the board members on Friday, a draft version. The difference being that I was requesting that the board chairperson use the official New York City agency email address provided to us for any correspondences, communications, and actions taken in their capacity as the chairperson of the community board. Last week's resolution stated that I wanted it to be put in the bylaws. After going to the Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee meeting last night, they made valid points, and I have changed it to putting it in the community board's ethical guidance manual. So basically, it states that Bronx Community Board requires that the chairperson shall use only the official New York City agency email address provided by the Office of Technology or authority when acting, or agency or authority when acting on behalf of the board for all correspondences. Pretty basic. It's almost half of what Sergio's been fighting for all the board members to have it. The board chairperson is afforded the opportunity to use a .gov email address. It's very, in my opinion, by using that, it's very identifiable that the email that the person is getting from the board chairperson is actually coming from an authorized agency, not a Gmail or AOL, anything like that. Does anyone have any questions on that? Sergio?
Well, it does state some valid points. The question is why do we need this, and why do we need it right now? Has there been an issue with something identified that required this to happen? And wouldn't the all of the points apply equally to board members who communicate, to the public safety chair who reaches out to the captain of the 5-0, et cetera? Wouldn't these points apply equally? And by saying that these are issues and these are things that should be done this way, are we not implicitly saying that we are violating some ethical rules or just bad practice for the rest of the board members who don't have a city email address because they're conducting business with the Gmail? So I see it problematic for a couple of reasons. One larger that I can see is that this is saying everyone else who does this is wrong.
Okay, well, this is basically dealing with the community board chairperson solely. Right now, only the community board chairperson is afforded this email address, as you know, and it's been afforded to the community board chairpersons for the past 12, 13 years. I use it during my term because I believe we should use it for the reasons mentioned in the resolution, rather also the fact that it's professional. It's just like a no-brainer.
Just point of order.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you're defending yourself, and when you're not letting other people defend you. I would like to speak in favor of your resolution if you would allow me to.
Thank you, but I just thought this was like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'd like to continue my report, which is part of this. I agree with Sergio to the point where for years he has asked, and I've agreed, we should have .gov lines. They don't issue it to us. But the point that I think we were most excited about is the idea of establishing the annals of Community Board 8. And therefore, each succeeding chairperson will have a volume, if you will, of the time that that person served in that office. So if this year, for 20 years from now, for decades from now, people will be able to look back what happened during that period of time. It won't be an easy search, but it'll all be in one place. It's one of the reasons we supported it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I agree. I think that the chair is currently the only person who gets one of these emails. The emails are actually quite significant because the agencies actually respond to people who email them from these magic emails, which they don't always respond to the rest of us with our Gmail accounts. But I do think that it's helpful to put it into a formal documentation because it gives a level of seriousness and it doesn't seem so optional. And so then that, to Marty's point, makes a consistent, your point, makes a consistent record. So that the chair, everything the chair is doing is always kind of documented so that it can be passed on and there's transparency. So I support this.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so we're gonna go for a vote. Any abstentions? Sergio? Any objections? Okay, passed. And I'd like to thank everybody who participated in this resolution with their comments. Thank you to the Lowry Committee.
Just note that in the future, we might call this Reyes's Library or Julie's Annals or whatever. We'll remember Julie for presenting this, we for passing it. And I as I mentioned, we think it's a good idea. In the interest of time, we'll go forward. Skip that. We also looked at the working group and the committee decided to table. Actually, it took 4 votes. Table each of the items. We trifurcated the discussion between the committees, suggestion about committees, making SCREE a standing committee, and making and requiring only one vote, requiring members to join only one committee rather than the present 2 committees. Our answer to all 3 of those is we don't have enough information. So I'm going to ask Artie or whomever hand out the questionnaire I submitted to you last month. I received very poor response. Maybe it wasn't clear. I want to try and make it clear now. There are 2 sets of columns. The right side column. Where am I? The left side column is for, this is not an official document. You're not committing yourself. In September, when the new board meets and you're asked to select committees, that's the one that counts. I want to know whether or not people basically agree that they can serve on 2 committees or really want to stick with 1 committee. And I have no idea what the outcome will be, but I think we should have the information. So the first set of columns on the left, these are the committees as they currently exist. If you had to pick right now, as they currently exist, what was your first choice? Would you have a second choice? The column on the right-hand side says, if we agree to all the changes requested or suggested by the working group, what committee would you pick? And would you still pick a second committee? I'm curious as to whether or not there's an interest in second groups. I'm interested in whether or not 1 or 2 more committees will have nobody join in. It's important information for us to have if we're going to make a choice. And my last comment, I'm done. And I've said this many times, so this is not the first time. As parliamentarian, I have said, what a vote comes out to be, it comes out to be. I can live with it. I win, I lose. But I get very upset, and particularly in this case, where people didn't have the guts to vote yes or no. Took abstention for whatever the reason.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from Marty?
Yeah, I take issue with that. I was one of the people who abstained on the vote that you're talking about.
And it's not a matter of guts or not guts, and you're making an assumption that I don't think is a fair assumption. So I really object to what you just said. I think that that's offensive to us other board members who decided to abstain from the vote.
Thank you, Karen. Sergio?
We all have our opinions, but as I believe it's inappropriate as parliamentarians to inject that kind of opinion, because we don't really need that, the over personalization. We need to be kinder to each other. We really need to just respect each other. The vote came out the way it came out. There's no need for that type of characterization, because none of this should be personal to anyone. And I just needed to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio.
Okay, so everyone has the forms. If you could fill it out before you leave, it would be nice. And give it to Farrah, not Artie, because he's leaving us.
It's out of here.
Okay, so excuse me. You have a question, Marty? He has a question on the questionnaire.
Sorry, just because we see on some of these areas like economic development are on both sides of this. And there are a couple of committees that are on both sides. Is there specific changes that are happening to do?
On the left-hand side, you have the committees as they presently exist. On the right-hand side, you have the committees as recommended by the working group.
Okay, thank you.
That's in the event because they were discussing merging committees. And if they did merge a committee, then that's what the second column is for. Okay, so now we're going to go on. Any other questions or comments? Okay, economic development, Cesar.
I am standing in for Constance. We do not meet this month, and our next meeting will be on the first Tuesday month, which should be June 2nd. Location is still to be determined, but assume now at the board office.
Thank you. And if you could pass the mic down to Chuck. Going to land use.
Fortunately, I have two very long period. With all the other. I spoke today with the bar concerning
the first item. That is the question of Bank Portland. As you know, we have a committee, land use, and a working group of that committee starting to take a good hard look. I was surprised to learn both from the borough president and from the former city planning commission representative to this board, Juton Forstman, who used to be our representative here, that this is becoming a problem throughout the borough of the Bronx. I'm going to be meeting with them some more about it, because the bottom line here is there is no local planning in the city of New York. The community boards are treated as something less than representative of a community, and they are no longer charged with planning. City planning, everyone who has served for at least a year knows that every resolution that comes to us from city planning is a citywide resolution, not one that involves a community or a neighborhood or the like. That's not in the public interest. So translate that, as I suggested to BEEP today, to using Van Cortlandt Village as a guinea pig example of what can go wrong. There are 9 micro units there. Several of them have caused problems. Sewage in the streets that took a week with DEP doing the best you could, and every public official in this community, especially the council member, went to work to try and get DEP to clean up the streets. You know it, Deborah, you lived through it. All right? And that is what's going to happen throughout this community. Van Cortlandt's first, we're next, and everybody else follows with that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Here are the situations. We have now started to assign specific areas of questions. For example, we have the Public Safety Committee Chair is going to be working on the police portion of it, having the data that's coming out of the police department that relates, for example, to the micro units of where they are. What is the data? Has it shown an increase? Has it had any change? What is the situation there? We've asked Dan to start taking a look at the environmental and sanitation issues that are all over that district. We have people, Adam Leffler, who is just splendid, has put together a map showing where the problems are beginning to come and how they are showing up. Take a look around the amalgamated. There's much more garbage than ever before. I have a call into a client, former client, the sanitation union, to ask them to put pressure on the department to stop this kind of stuff and get cleaning up the streets in those areas particularly. We've got to do this because take my word for it. Somebody here mentioned a few moments ago potholes all over the streets, stuff falling down from bridges.
Got that true.
And that's because we have no planning. So let's show the city of New York we're willing to plan for our community. So that's where we need your help on the first one. The second issue is one that is, at best, the most unusual thing I've seen in 30 years on there is a block in the Riverdale Hill area called Arlington Avenue. It runs from 252nd Street basically to 254th Street. Includes a foreign embassy, includes a number of large single-family homes. It does not include any Mac mansions or anything like that. But any day that you have rain in this community, you have a flood on that street. The sewage is there. It is an incredible mess. Now, with that as a background, we have an application here of what people criticize with City of Yes. We have an application for what is essentially going to be our version of a needle gauge. The absolute minimum in the city of New York, 75 by 100. So the owner of a corner piece of property carved up into the line, equaling the minimum, and now wants to put a house on that property. And at the same time, build a swimming pool on it. Problems here came up, and this is where the real guts of this thing. Many of the houses in Riverdale do not have the New York City sanitation or DEP hookup to sewage. That's the problem in there. What they have are private sewer districts, and there's been one in Riverdale for many, many years for Riverdale. In this case, the application has appeared before us twice. It appeared at the meeting on the 23rd, and we pointed out the plans did not include any protection in terms of dry wells, didn't show a whole bunch of information. After protests from the architect, he amended it. So we put it back on the meeting on the 4th. At that point, the issue came up because Sanitation District showed us if you hook up this new building to the Riverdale Sanitation District, a private sanitary district, it will overload the entire system. And we can't keep it on the building that's spinning it off. So which are you going to give up, Mr. Owner, your own building or the one you spun off? Long story short, they have not got a permit to date. They're caught up in the bottleneck of trying to talk to the sanitary district and meet its requirements or meet the city of New York's requirements. That's a quick statement of the facts. Now the issue. We have a limited number of days in which we can comment. That limitation period expires before the next meeting of this board. And so if we do not act tonight, in the same judgment you made a few moments ago, that constitutes no. It constitutes nothing.
Well, we can.
So what we have to do is take action on a resolution tonight. You have before you a resolution. It is very carefully drafted, not to be an approval and not to be a denial, but to say very specifically, we cannot recommend this application until it has a sanitary application. Until it has a sanitary, I have to tell you, the building involved is at the highest point on the hill. If the sewer goes, everybody down that hill is going to have a smelly time. So what we're going to do, if you will agree with us, is we're going to ask that this be called to the attention of city planning. We want city planning not to act on this until there is a sanitary hookup, and then send it back to us so we can make the proper SNAD calculations, which may or may not favor any kind of action, but should be done. But the first order of business is getting these sewer things fixed up. As Deb Travis and I were communicating with one another, this is the kind of ignorance that went over in Van Cortlandt Village. I don't need it of me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to ask you, the first three that they received, can we vote on the resolutions, the first three that you spoke on just now? Because your committee approved all three resolutions that Chuck just went over. Okay.
Chuck, do you want to mention the typo?
Pardon me?
Do you want to mention the typo?
Now, I gave them a list of typos. There are more than I picked up. Brother Fruit picked up a bunch more. So they're all there.
I'm speaking on the three resolutions that you initially submitted. For the Rosefield resurfacing.
Oh.
The
Let me do this
241, because we actually have to be added here.
Let me do this one because this one's complicated. The others are not. So let's get this resolution because I just outlined the issue. All right?
1 and 3. Okay, but we need to get it along because I mentioned, I don't know if you were here in the beginning of the meeting, but we really have to be out at 9. So, because everyone received the resolution 3, so we can vote on that. Go ahead, Chuck, let's vote, let's get out of here.
All right. You have a copy of the resolution before you. I've tried to characterize it as fairly as I can. What it does is say, we're not going to recommend it, we're not going to disapprove it, we're not going to approve it, we're not going to recommend it. We want you, city planning, to leave it alone until they hook up.
Does anyone have any questions for Chuck on this resolution he's speaking of? Any comments for Chuck on this resolution? No, we did that in the beginning of the meeting. I put all the committees.
I just have a quick question. So these folks came before you for a SNAP approval, which is a special natural area district approval, which I thought mostly had to do with trees and a root structure. Can you explain what that has to do with sewer?
When the sewer goes and the stuff runs down the hill, what do you think it runs over? No, the trees may be happy, but the plants are not, and the vegetation is not. And I think human beings are entitled to some relief as well.
Okay, so let's vote. Everyone's ready to vote? Okay, any objections to the resolution? Okay, any abstentions? Okay, so that passed. Chuck?
Now the others, they're pretty quick. The first one is an application to declare something in connection with the Fieldston Historic District. And there was an application for window replacements. They have been State Historic Society and LPC, Landmarks Preservation Commission, are limiting have for years, limited types of windows that they have, doing it here. He's seeking permission to go ahead. Put in the windows that are in accordance with those. That's the end of that one. Go the others? Okay.
Because you're coming to approve three and then
Yeah.
if anyone objects.
Rosefield at Riverdale Country School is doing a resurfacing. They have had full testimony that does not in any way impede any of the SNAD requirements, whether they be trees, plants, or rocks. And there's no reason why this shouldn't be allowed.
And the third?
In Fieldsford proper, they want to replace the stone road, stone on some of the streets. Because and cracked, they are part of this. They can do better not having any of that stone on the road. That's a public safety.
Thank you, Chuck. Does anyone object for us lumping the three resolutions that the land use committee approved? Any objections? Okay, are there any abstentions to the resolutions? We have the three. Any objections? It passes, Chuck. Thank you.
The last one. I would like the permission of the chair and of the board, if there is progress on this issue with the sanitation hookup, between now and any point, I would report it back to the board so we can take a good, hard, quick look at it and see where it is on the merit. But first order of business, get this out of the way. Okay?
Yes, thank you. Okay. So the nominating committee, is there any comments the nominating committee would like to say at this time if you have another meeting?
Yes, so the nominating committee has met 3 times, and we will be having our ultimate meeting on June 8th at 6:30, which is a Monday. It will be ending much earlier than the last time, but right before 11.
Thank you. Going to go into council members' report. Councilmember Eric Dinowitz.
And quicker. It kept coming. Good evening again. I think some of this stuff was actually spoken about. I'm going to skip some. Bob kind of left out something in his report that we did meet about the Hudson River Greenway. And so we're reaching out to EDC to have them be the agency kind of in charge and taking care of everything. So that letter is going out tomorrow. So only you can mention that in your report. They're working on that. And thank you, Bob, and Cliff Stanton. It's also very helpful in that. Yeah.
We're only about 35 years behind on that greenway. So whatever you can do to move it forward, great.
We're going to move it forward. All right? We're going to move it forward. The city bikes, we've been getting a ton of stuff about city bikes. As you know, we met with the board in North Riverdale, got some of those stations to move to the sidewalk. We've been getting incoming about some of the other stations. The Assemblyman and I did make a statement and reach out to the DOT to move some of those docks as well, because we shouldn't have to choose between parking and expanding transit options. We received concerns about pedestrian safety at Cannon and Orloff Avenue in front of the Bank Horton Library. We requested a traffic stop, a stop sign there. They rejected it because we've requested it before, although I am under the impression there used to be a stop sign there. I feel like there was. So we're gonna keep at it. There was a question at the beginning about hate crimes. You should all know that I co-chair the task force to combat anti-Semitism. And we had a hearing a couple weeks ago about reporting on hate crimes. There's a lot of gaps between the NYPD, the DA's office, and the mayor's office to combat anti-Semitism. So I encourage you to watch that hearing. It was a good one. But we are working on expanding and making more clear the reporting, both to report hate crimes and the work the NYPD has to do in reporting out, including the work the DA's office has to do to report the disposition of cases. In other words, what happens after someone's arrested for a hate crime? Are they out on bail? Are they detained? Are they out on some release program? We have a couple of events coming up. Paper shredding. No one cares about legislation. They all care about paper shredding. No one cares about the $100 million they brought to the district. They care about paper shredding, so that's cool. This Sunday, the 17th at 10 a.m. on Johnson Avenue. That morning before that, if anyone wants to run with me, you have the Riverdale Y 5K. I'll be doing 5Ks of that 5K. In Williams-Jovel, which is in CPA, we have a helmet distribution. We have the block party that day. NYLEG, New York Legal Assistance Groups, comes to my office once a month. Next time they're coming is June 5th. They call library office hours. We have from 10 to 5, the second Tuesday of every month. We were there today. And the Riverdale Library, we have our office hours there. Next is May 20th. And we are starting to set up office hours at Sun Dival. And this is all an effort to make sure we are getting all around the community. I have my one office in Kingsbridge, but it's really important to me to get out everywhere in the community, and we do that through our libraries. We used to set up like little tables on the street. That's what I used to do. Now we have the library. You can sign up for my newsletter, ericdinowitz.nyc/newsletter. I encourage you to do that. And lastly, I passed another bill last week or 2 weeks ago about vaccines. As many of you know, the federal government is casting doubt on the safety and efficacy of vaccines. So I have a bill that says New York City is going to do an education campaign and not use the CDC. We're going to use other well-respected non-governmental organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics, a number of other ones that I can't remember off the top of my head, the College of Physicians, to do outreach campaigns in culturally responsive manner in many languages and really target childhood vaccinations in the areas that have the lowest rates. And lastly, the mayor just released his executive budget, and thanks to push from the city council, your property taxes will not be raised, which is something he had proposed in his preliminary budget. We fought back. We found savings in his executive budget. He recognized a lot of that work, and so it's a balanced budget. One more time, ericdinowitz.nyc/newsletter for all the best updates in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to Councilmember Sanchez. And you have 1 minute.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Soraya. I'm new on her constituent services team. It's nice to see everyone. So we have an upcoming party at Mount Hope Playground. That's 177 East Walton Avenue as well. That's May 22nd, 3 to 6 p.m. As it gets warmer, I encourage everyone to check out the Bronx Week calendar that has events borough-wide, even in his district as well, up until May 17th. We also have resources that come into our office as well. CUNY Citizenship Now, NYLAG, Arriva, they help with housing applications. They also have help with any immigration concerns. So if you ever know anyone, please refer them to our office. I'll give you guys that contact as well. I'm sorry, I have 1 minute. The Safer Homes Act, some legislative updates. Council member continues to fight for stronger tools to hold negligent landlords accountable and deliver safer living conditions. Along with her certificate of no harassment, on April 29th, CM Sanchez held a roundtable discussion with advocates. The program directly leads tenants' treatments to an owner's ability to get permits for major work and serves as an budget hearings March 24th. And if you ever need any more information or if there's any other thing you'd like to report, concerns, please reach out to me. I'll be here after. Good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you. For those who may be joining us for the first time, she received only 1 minute because she is a representative. If the council person were here, which she does attend our meetings quite frequently, she would have been given the 3 minutes like Councilmember Dinowitz. And I do appreciate both Councilmember Sanchez and Dinowitz attending most of our meetings. I truly do. Or even sending a representative, because now I'm going to call on Councilmember De La Rosa. Is Councilmember De La Rosa our representative here? And that's unfortunate because, well, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say, Councilmember Dinowitz, this is not your district and you show up. Councilmember Sanchez shows up. And whoever has Councilmember De La Rosa, I would ask that you contact your council member and ask them to be more involved because we need a whole community represented. So then with that, we have a few more minutes left. We have someone from the mayor's office here. Maxwell, are you a representative?
Yeah, I'm the Bronx Borough Lead from the Mayor's Office of Mass Engagement.
Are you Maxwell Dixon?
Maxwell Dickinson.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Welcome.
My name doesn't match the face.
Oh, welcome. You have 1 minute.
Okay, well, my mother always told me to talk slow. I have to disregard her. Applications for the new free 2K pilot program open on June 2nd. It's relevant for this community board. It's one of the 5 school districts included. It includes schools of 10. It includes Van Cortlandt Village and Kingsbridge. So make sure you sign up. You have until from June 2nd to June 24th. You have a 2-year-old or you know someone who does. NYCHA in your neighborhood is a program like the rental ripoff hearings, which will allow NYCHA residents to speak directly to the administration, share their concerns, their issues in their buildings, and be connected directly with resources. The one in Bronx will be held May 20th at the Classic Community Center in Melrose. The mayor's office in HPD recently secured a record $31 million in penalties against the owners of Robert Fulton Terrace and Fordham Towers, continuing the mayor's fight against bad landlords. We're encouraging people to turn out to the rental guideline boards. The ones which on the Bronx on June 8th at Hostos at 5 p.m. The decision affects 2 million. Last year, only 400 people showed up. You don't have to be a tenant. If you're a landlord, we also want your testimony. And also on Thursday, there's NYC 101, which is explaining the history of rent stabilization, history of tenant organizing, and sort of an overview of the affordability crisis. I want to be in Chinatown. It's a little far for you all. We're going to do more of these sort of courses in the Bronx. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna, with the elected officials report, if an elected official is present on Zoom, you can raise your hand. If you have a representative, please submit your documentation to the board office and we will attach it with our minutes. We're gonna move on to old business. Old business, I meant to report in my report that the working group on the board restructure is disbanded. They've given their report to the Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee. Does anyone else have any old business?
I'd like to thank the members of the working group for the time and effort.
Thank you. And that would be Sergio Villaverde, Dr. Wayne Sabitham, and Jessica. Okay, cool. Daniel, can you get a mic?
Now that we're in old business, I would like to make a motion to reconsider the resolution in support of Eric Denowitz's. If I can get a second.
Okay.
Can we table it, get the council to turn that home for the, be able to do their.
Well, you guys could do whatever you want to do, but the meeting is ending in 2 minutes. Okay, so you put a motion on again, someone second. So we'll take a vote. Who wants to go along?
He can't hear.
In the meantime, while they're counting, since we're going to be leaving in 2 minutes, new business. I don't think there's any new business. The next regular board meeting will be held Wednesday, June 24th at 7 p.m. at Wade Hill, 75 West 252nd Street. Again, June 24th, 7 PM, Wave Hill. Okay, so he made a motion, there was a second, are we going to, who is going to agree? Okay, no quorum, so sorry. Councilmember Dinowitz knows that we debated, not debated, we listened to the reason, people took a vote. He understands, he's been on the board and he's an elected official. So I said that you understand, if you don't understand that, if you don't understand that, then that's an issue. So I'm not speaking for you, I said you should understand, and if you don't, then that's a bigger issue. So, anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I do.
Okay, oh, that's right, we have no quorum. So good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.